The massive warships appeared above Earth on a quiet Tuesday morning. There were hundreds of them, each one larger than any building humans had ever made. They blocked out the sun over 3 continents. People stopped in the streets and looked up at the sky with fear in their hearts. Inside the largest ship, Ambassador watched the blue planet below. He was tall, nearly 3 meters, with a hard shell covering his body like armor. His species, had conquered 47 worlds. Earth would be the 48th. He felt certain of this. Pressed a button, and his message went out to every screen, every phone, every radio on Earth. His translating machine turned his clicking language into human words. "People of Earth," he said, "I am ambassador of the Galactic Hegemony. We are an alliance of 200 species. We control this part of the galaxy. We come with a simple demand." He paused to let his words sink in. "We have watched your planet for many years. We have seen your enhanced combat units. We have seen soldiers survive wounds that would kill any normal creature. We have seen your people lift heavy machines with their bare hands. We have seen your fighters continue to battle even when their bodies are broken and bleeding." Leaned closer to the camera. "This is illegal. The hegemony banned bioenhancement technology 3,000 years ago. It is too dangerous. You will surrender all enhanced units to us for study. You will give us the technology you used to create them. If you refuse, we will burn your cities to ash. You have 6 hours to respond." The transmission ended. In New York, the United Nations building erupted into chaos. Diplomats from every country screamed at each other. Phones rang without stopping. Military leaders demanded immediate nuclear response. Religious leaders called for calm. Secretary General Park sat quietly in the middle of this storm. She was 63 years old with gray hair and calm eyes. She had survived 3 wars and 2 assassination attempts. A few alien ships did not frighten her. She waited until the room grew quiet. Then she spoke. "Show me this evidence they collected." Her assistant, a young man named, pulled up the files on the main screen. The aliens had been watching Earth for decades. They had collected thousands of videos. The first video showed a soldier named Sergeant Ryu. During a battle, he was shot 4 times in the chest. Any would have died instantly, but Sergeant Ryu kept fighting. He killed 3 enemy soldiers, carried his wounded friend to safety, and only collapsed after the helicopter arrived. He survived. The second video showed a mother in a small town. A car had fallen off its jack and trapped her young son. She lifted the car, all 2,000 kilograms of it, and held it while her son crawled free. Then she fainted. The third video showed marathon runners. Humans running 42 kilometers without stopping. The aliens had highlighted this with red warning markers. No species in the hegemony could run more than 5 kilometers without rest. There were hundreds more videos. Firefighters walking into burning buildings. Doctors operating for 20 hours straight. Factory workers surviving accidents that should have killed them. General watched with his arms crossed. He was 70 years old, built like a tank, with scars covering his hands. He had fought in jungles and deserts and frozen mountains. He understood what the aliens were seeing. "They think we modified ourselves," he said. "Yes," Park replied. "They think these are special soldiers, enhanced units." "Yes." General laughed. It was not a happy sound. "Should I tell them, or will you?" Park stood up. "Connect me to their ambassador." The holographic image appeared in the room. He looked confident. He expected surrender. "Secretary General," he said, "have you prepared your enhanced units for transfer?" Park looked at him steadily. "Ambassador, I need to ask you a question first. You want us to give you our enhanced soldiers, the ones with special modifications, the ones who can survive terrible wounds and perform impossible tasks. Is this correct?" "Yes, all of them." "I see." Park took a slow breath. Behind her, General was smiling in a way that made his staff nervous. Ambassador, I must apologize. There has been a misunderstanding. Santeni twitched. Explain. We do not have enhanced soldiers. We do not have biomodification technology. The people in your videos, the soldiers and mothers and runners, they are not special units. She paused. They are regular humans. Did not move for a long moment. Regular, he repeated. Yes, baseline, unmodified, normal. Park spread her hands. That is simply what humans are. The soldier who survived 4 gunshots to the chest. Regular human. We call it adrenaline. It is a chemical our bodies make when we are in danger. It allows us to ignore pain and damage. The mother who lifted a vehicle. Regular human. We call it hysterical strength. Parents can do remarkable things when their children are in danger. The runners. Regular humans. Running long distances is something we evolved to do. Our ancestors hunted animals by chasing them until they collapsed from exhaustion. Translator made a strange sound. It might have been a gasp. All of your soldiers have these abilities. All of our people have these abilities. Soldiers, farmers, teachers, children, everyone. How many humans exist on this planet? Park smiled. It was not a friendly smile. 8 billion, Ambassador. Every single one of them exactly like the people in your videos. Every single one of them capable of surviving wounds that would kill your species. Every single one of them willing to fight. She leaned forward. Now, would you like to discuss your demands again? The transmission ended. Stood alone in his command room, staring at the blue planet below. For the first time in his long career, he felt something cold growing in his stomach. He had come to conquer a planet of monsters. And there were 8 billion of them. Did not believe it. He could not believe it. In all his years as a diplomat, he had never heard such an obvious lie. A species where every individual could ignore fatal damage. Impossible. The humans were hiding their enhanced units somewhere. He demanded proof. You want to observe regular humans, Park said. Fine, choose any city on Earth. Send your scanners, watch our people for 3 days. You will see the truth. Chose a coastal city in South Korea called. It was large enough to have variety but small enough to monitor completely. He sent 500 scanner drones into the sky. They could detect any technology, any genetic modification, any sign of enhancement. For 3 days the drones watched. On the first morning, they recorded a grandmother named Bei walking to the market. She was 73 years old with white hair and a bent back. A young man ran past her and grabbed her purse. Without hesitation, Bei chased him. She ran for 6 blocks. The young man was fast, but Bei did not stop. Her old legs pumped steadily. Her lungs burned. Her heart pounded, but she kept running. Finally, the thief looked back and saw this ancient woman still coming. He dropped the purse and fled in terror. The drone scanned Bei thoroughly. No modifications, no implants, no enhancement of any kind. She was just an old woman who refused to let a thief win. When asked about it later, she shrugged. I walk every morning, she said, and that purse had my grandson's photo inside. I was not leaving without it. On the second day, the drones recorded an accident at a construction site. A worker named was standing on scaffolding when the metal broke. He fell 3 stories and hit the ground hard. His left arm snapped. White bone poked through the skin. The drones expected him to lose consciousness. The pain alone should have shut down his nervous system. That was how it worked for every species in the hegemony. Screamed, he cursed. He lay on the ground for 30 seconds, breathing hard. Then he sat up. With his good hand, he found a piece of broken rebar. He placed it against his broken arm. He tore his shirt into strips and tied the metal to his arm, making a rough splint. Then he stood up. Then he climbed back up the broken scaffolding. His found him at the top, warning everyone to stay away from the damaged section. Blood dripped from his arm. His face was gray with pain, but he refused to leave until everyone was safe. The medical AI on ship flagged this as impossible. The report stated that no biological creature could function with that level of damage. The pain signals should have caused immediate shutdown. Doctor, the scientist assigned to work with the aliens, tried to explain. "We feel pain," she said. "We feel it very much, but we can choose to act anyway. We call it willpower or stubbornness, or sometimes just anger." "You choose to ignore your damage alerts?" asked. "When necessary, yes. This does not cause permanent harm." Doctor paused. "Sometimes it does. We'll need surgery. His arm may never be the same, but his are alive. He considers this a fair trade." Did not understand. His species had evolved to shut down when damaged. It was a survival mechanism. You could not make injuries worse if you were unconscious. Humans had evolved differently. They had evolved to keep going no matter what. On the third day, the drones recorded a fire in an apartment building. The flames spread fast. People screamed from the windows. Fire trucks arrived, but the stairs had already collapsed. A firefighter named O did not wait for the ladder truck. He climbed the outside of the building using window ledges and drain pipes. The fire burned his hands. He kept climbing. He reached the fourth floor and smashed through a window. Inside, he found 4 children huddled in a corner. The youngest was 3 years old. O wrapped them in wet blankets and carried them out one by one. Each trip took him through flames. Each trip burned him worse than before. By the 4th trip, the skin on his arms was black and cracked. The pain must have been unimaginable. But he carried the last child down the ladder and handed her to the paramedics before he finally collapsed. Watched this footage 17 times. "Why did he continue?" he asked Doctor. "After the first burn, he knew the fire would damage him further. Why did he go back?" Doctor looked at him with something like pity. "Because there were still children inside." "But he was already injured." "Yes." "And he knew he would be injured more." "Yes." "And he went anyway." "Ambassador," Doctor leaned forward, "what would your species do? Leave the children to burn?" Did not answer. Among his people, yes, that was exactly what they would do. 1 life lost was better than 2 lives lost. It was simple mathematics. It was logical. Humans did not operate on logic. They operated on something else entirely. Something had no word for. He returned to his ship and reviewed all the data. 500 drones, 3 days of observation, thousands of humans scanned. Not a single modification. Not a single enhancement. Just ordinary people doing extraordinary things because they decided to. Began to understand why the hegemony had conquered 47 worlds so easily. Those species made sense. They followed predictable patterns. They surrendered when the odds turned against them. Humans did not surrender. Humans did not calculate odds. Humans simply refused to stop. He sent a message to the High Council that night. "We may have made a serious mistake," he wrote. "Request additional information on human history and biology. Priority level, maximum." The response came within the hour. "Information packet attached. May the stars protect you." Opened the file and began to read about persistence hunting, about adrenaline, about the human ability to recover from wounds that would kill any other species. He did not sleep that night. He was beginning to realize that Earth was not a planet of monsters. It was worse than that. It was a planet of survivors. Requested a full briefing on human evolution. He needed to understand how this species had become what it was. The hegemony had files on humans, but they were incomplete. They had assumed Earth was a simple conquest. They had not studied it properly. That was clearly a mistake. Professor arrived at the meeting room with a small bag and tired eyes. She was 51 years old, an anthropologist who had spent her life studying human origins. She had never expected to explain her species to aliens, but she was ready. The hegemony delegation sat across from her, was there, along with his military commander and 3 scientists. They looked at her with a mixture of curiosity and fear. Good, she thought, they should be afraid. Let me start with how we hunted, she said. She showed them images of the African savanna, tall grass, burning sun, endless plains. 2 million years ago, our ancestors had no claws, no fangs, no venom, no armor. We were slow compared to most animals, weak compared to most animals. We should have gone extinct. The aliens nodded. This matched their understanding. But we had 3 advantages. First, we could sweat. Our bodies release water through our skin to cool down. Most animals cannot do this. They must stop and pant to cool their bodies. Professor pulled up a video. It showed a modern human running alongside a deer. Second, we could run on 2 legs. This is very efficient for long distances. 4-legged animals are faster in short bursts, but they tire quickly. The video continued. The deer sprinted ahead. The human kept jogging. The deer stopped to rest. The human kept jogging. The deer ran again. The human kept jogging. Third, we could carry water with us. We made containers from animal skins. We drank while we moved. In the video, the deer was slowing down. Its tongue hung from its mouth. Foam covered its body. The human was still jogging. We did not need to catch our prey, Professor said. We simply followed it for hours, sometimes for days. We walked animals to death. We chased them until their hearts gave out from exhaustion. The alien scientists looked physically ill. This is how your species hunted, one of them asked, by refusing to stop. Yes, we call it persistence hunting. Some tribes in Africa still practice it today, Professor smiled. The animal was always faster, but we were always more stubborn. The military commander shifted in his seat. His species had evolved as ambush predators. They hid, they waited, they struck quickly. The idea of chasing something until it died from exhaustion seemed almost evil. Professor continued. Now let me tell you about adrenaline. She showed them a diagram of the human body. She pointed to small organs above the kidneys. When a human is in danger, these organs release chemicals into our blood. Our heart beats faster. Our muscles get stronger. Our pain sensors turn off. We call this the fight or flight response. The pain sensors turn off? Asked. Temporarily, yes. A human with adrenaline in their blood can run on broken legs. They can fight with torn muscles. They can ignore wounds that would stop any other creature. She showed them videos. A soldier carrying his friend through a war zone with 3 bullets in his stomach. A hiker fighting off a bear with her bare hands after it broke her arm. A pilot landing his plane with pieces of metal in his brain. This response is automatic, Professor said. We cannot control it. When danger comes, our bodies prepare us to survive. Every human has this ability. Bobbies, elderly, everyone. The alien scientists took notes with shaking hands. There is more, Professor said. Let me tell you about recovery. She showed them X-rays of broken bones that had healed, scans of damaged organs that had repaired themselves, photos of terrible scars that proved humans had survived terrible wounds. Our bodies want to live, she said. Broken bones grow back together. Cut skin seals itself. Damaged livers regrow. Even our brains can rewire themselves after injury. She paused. We are not easy to kill, and when you fail to kill us, we heal, we come back, and we remember who hurt us. Stood up suddenly. His chair fell backwards. This cannot be natural, he said. No species evolves like this. It is too much, too dangerous. Professor looked at him calmly. Our planet is dangerous. We evolved alongside predators that could kill us with one bite. We survived ice ages that froze half our world. We lived through diseases that killed 9 out of every 10 people. Only the stubborn survived. only the ones who refused to die. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small bone. It was yellow with age, clearly ancient. This is from one of our ancestors. He lived 40,000 years ago. The bone shows that he broke his leg badly. Without modern medicine, this should have killed him. He could not hunt. He could not run from predators. He should have been left behind. She set the bone on the table. But the break healed. Someone fed him. Someone protected him. He lived for many more years after this injury. Stared at the bone. Your ancestors protected their wounded. Always, it is one of our oldest behaviors. We do not leave our people behind, not the sick, not the injured, not the old. Professor picked up the bone again. This is what you are fighting, not just our strength, not just our endurance, our loyalty, our stubbornness, our absolute refusal to abandon each other. She put the bone back in her bag and stood up. You asked if we are enhanced. We are not. We are simply the survivors of a very harsh world. Every soft species on our planet went extinct. Only we remain. She walked to the door and stopped. Ambassador, you came here thinking we were easy prey. You thought we would surrender when you showed us your ships. But we have been fighting for survival since before your species existed. We do not know how to give up. She looked back at him. And we have 8 billion years of practice at not dying. Then she left. Sat in silence for a long time. We should leave, said quietly. We should leave right now. Did not disagree. The hegemony did not leave. They could not. Retreating without conquest would show weakness to other species. The High Council demanded results, had to find a way to win. He requested a military briefing. If the humans would not surrender, perhaps they could be defeated by force. He needed to understand their combat capabilities. Admiral was chosen for this meeting. He was 68 years old with gray hair cut short and eyes that had seen too much death. He had fought in 3 wars. He had buried more friends than he could count. He walked into the meeting room with a slight limp from an old injury that had never healed properly. Sat across from him. The alien commander was eager to find weakness. Surely these humans had some limit, some point where they would break. Admiral smiled when he heard this. Let me show you something, he said. He pulled up images on the screen, trenches in muddy ground, soldiers covered in dirt and blood, explosions in the distance. This was one of our wars. We called it the First World War. It lasted 4 years. Millions of soldiers lived in holes in the ground while bombs fell on them every day. They ate rotten food. They drank dirty water. Disease killed almost as many as weapons did. Studied the images. How long did they endure these conditions before surrendering? They did not surrender. They stayed in those trenches for years. Some soldiers went mad from the constant explosions. They kept fighting anyway. When the war finally ended, it was because one side ran out of resources, not because anyone gave up. He showed another image, a city in ruins, buildings reduced to rubble, bodies in the streets. This was another war. An enemy surrounded one of our cities for almost 900 days. No food could enter, no supplies. The people inside starved. They ate rats. They ate leather. They ate things I will not describe. Admiral's voice was steady. Over 1 million people died in that siege, from hunger, from cold, from disease. Do you know how many surrendered? Shook his head. None, not one. The city held until our armies broke through and rescued them. The survivors were walking skeletons, but they were still fighting. He changed the image again. Mountains covered in snow, soldiers with frozen faces. This was a different war. Our soldiers fought in mountains so cold that their weapons froze. They could not feel their hands. Their feet turned black from frostbite. Many had to have their legs cut off after the battle. And they continued fighting. Yes, they wrapped their hands in cloth and kept shooting. When their guns jammed from the cold, they used knives. When their knives broke, they used rocks. When they had no rocks, they used their frozen hands. Admiral leaned forward. Commander, you are looking for the point where humans stop fighting. I am telling you that point does not exist. We fight until we win or until every single one of us is dead. There is no middle ground. Looked disturbed, but surely if the odds are impossible. Impossible odds make us fight harder. Admiral pulled up more data. Let me show you what is happening right now, on this planet, because of your ships. The screen showed news footage from around the world. Recruitment offices with lines stretching around blocks. Young people signing up to fight. Old people demanding weapons. Protests in every major city calling for resistance. Your ultimatum was broadcast 6 days ago. In that time, 47 million people have volunteered for military service. Factories are switching to weapons production without being asked. Scientists are sharing research openly for the first time in history. He showed a video of a teenage girl. Her name was Shin. She was speaking into a camera with fire in her eyes. My grandmother walked 200 kilometers through mountains to escape a war when she was my age. She ate tree bark to survive. She carried her baby brother on her back the whole way. You think I am afraid of some bugs in the sky? The video spread across the planet. Within hours, it had been viewed 1 billion times. Young people everywhere recorded their own messages. Their grandparents had survived worse. Their ancestors had survived worse. They would survive this too. Admiral turned off the screen. Let me give you numbers, Commander. You have 500 ships. We have 8 billion people. Even if each of your ships kills 100,000 of us before we destroy it, you will only reduce our population by 6%. He stood up and walked to the window. Earth hung in the darkness outside, blue and beautiful. And here is what will happen after that. The survivors will hate you. They will teach their children to hate you. For generations, humans will dream of revenge. We will steal your technology. We will learn your weaknesses. And one day, maybe 100 years from now, maybe 1,000, we will come for you. He turned back to face. We have a saying on Earth. Revenge is a dish best served cold. We are very patient when we hate someone. We will wait as long as necessary. Was silent for a long moment. You are describing a war that could last centuries. I am describing a war that will last until one of our species no longer exists. Admiral sat down again. Commander, I have studied war my entire life. I know how to win them and I know how to lose them. The war you are planning cannot be won. You can hurt us. You can kill billions of us, but you cannot make us stop. And every human you kill will have family who will never forget. He reached into his pocket and pulled out an old photograph. It showed a young woman in a military uniform. This was my daughter. She died in a war 15 years ago. I think about her every day. I will think about her until I die. He put the photograph away. This is what humans do. We remember. We hold on to our pain and our anger and we pass it down to our children. If you attack Earth, you will create a wound that will never heal. You will make enemies of every human who will ever live. Admiral stood up again. So here is my advice, Commander. Take your ships. Go home. Tell your council that Earth is not worth the cost, because the cost will be everything you have. He walked to the door. And if you choose to attack anyway, we will be waiting, all 8 billion of us. He left alone with the weight of an impossible decision. Stood before the Hegemony High Council. The chamber was vast, filled with representatives from 200 species. They had gathered to hear his report on Earth. They expected news of another easy conquest. They were not going to get it. Council members began. I come before you with a recommendation that has never been made in hegemony history. I recommend complete withdrawal from the Earth system, immediately, without conditions. The chamber erupted in noise. Species clicked and hissed and roared their disapproval. The council elder, an ancient creature with pale skin and many eyes, raised a limb for silence. Explain yourself, Ambassador. You command 500 warships. Earth has no interstellar capability. How can withdrawal be justified? Activated his holographic display. Images of humans filled the chamber. Soldiers, workers, children, ordinary people. We believed Earth possessed illegal bioenhancement technology. We were wrong. The humans are not enhanced. They are simply built differently than any species we have encountered. He showed them the footage, the grandmother chasing a thief, the construction worker climbing with a broken arm, the firefighter walking through flames. These are not special soldiers. These are ordinary citizens. Every human on the planet has these capabilities. He showed them the historical data, the persistent hunters, the siege survivors, the soldiers who fought in frozen mountains with blackened feet. Their evolution created something we have never seen, a species that does not stop, does not surrender, does not accept defeat under any circumstances. The council elder leaned forward. We have superior technology, superior numbers, surely. I ran simulations, interrupted. This was disrespectful, but he no longer cared. Every simulation, best-case scenarios, worst case, everything in between. He pulled up the results. In our most favorable projection, we achieve total orbital bombardment. We destroy their major cities. We kill 90% of their population. 7 billion humans die in the first week. The chamber was silent. 800 million survive. They scatter, they hide, they adapt. Within 1 year, they have stolen examples of our technology from crashed ships. Within 5 years, they understand how it works. Within 10 years, they are building their own. His voice was heavy. And they are angry. They are angrier than any species we have ever fought, because humans do not process loss the way we do. They do not accept it and move on. They remember. They pass their memories to their children. They tell stories about their dead for generations. He showed them videos from Earth, memorials to wars fought centuries ago, holidays honoring soldiers who died before anyone alive was born, children taught to never forget injustices that happened to ancestors they never met. If we attack Earth, we will not be fighting a war. We will be creating an enemy that will pursue us for 1,000 years. They will not stop until they have taken revenge or until they are completely extinct. And based on everything I have learned, extinction is very difficult to achieve with humans. The council elder's many eyes blinked slowly. You truly believe they cannot be defeated? I believe defeating them would cost us more than we can afford to lose. Pulled up one final image. Secretary General Park, looking directly into the camera. I asked her what would happen if we attacked. This was her response. The recording played. Park's voice was calm and clear. You may burn our world, Ambassador. You may kill billions of us. You may turn our cities to glass and our oceans to steam. But I promise you this, the survivors will crawl through the ashes. They will dig through the rubble with their bare hands. They will drink poisoned water and eat contaminated food, and they will keep coming. She leaned closer to the camera. We did not survive ice ages and plagues and 1,000 wars by giving up. We survived by being too stubborn to die. Attack us, and you will learn what 8 billion stubborn humans can do. This is not a threat, Ambassador. It is simply what we are. The recording ended. The chamber remained silent. I have made my recommendation, said. Withdrawal. Immediately. Earth should be reclassified from conquest target to protected territory. No hegemony vessel should approach within 1 light year of their system. He paused. Let them develop. Let them grow. Let them spread to the stars on their own terms, and perhaps in 1,000 years they will forgive us for this first contact. The vote was called. One by one, species registered their choice. The display updated in real time. Withdrawal, 187. Continue, 13. The council elder rose. Motion carries. All hegemony forces will withdraw from the Earth system within 12 hours. Earth is hereby classified as a Level 1 exclusion zone. No contact permitted without unanimous council approval. Bowed and left the chamber. 12 hours later, the warships broke orbit. They turned away from the blue planet and engaged their faster-than-light drives. Within seconds, they were gone. On Earth, people watched the ships disappear. They stood in streets and parks and rooftops staring at the empty sky. Nobody cheered. Nobody celebrated. They had been ready to fight. They had been ready to die. The fact that it was not necessary felt almost strange. In the United Nations building, Park received one final transmission from his flagship. Secretary General, I hope we will meet again under better circumstances. Your species is remarkable, terrifying but remarkable. Perhaps one day we can be allies rather than enemies. She smiled and typed a response. Perhaps, but next time, Ambassador, try asking nicely first. In a military command center, General watched the last alien ship vanish. His staff waited for orders. He lit a cigarette and leaned back in his chair. Stand down, he said, but keep the volunteers on the list. Something tells me we will need them eventually. In a small apartment inn, Bay turned off the news and went back to her knitting. Her grandson called to ask if she was okay. I am fine, she said. Aliens are not so scary. I have dealt with worse. In a hospital bed, firefighter O watched the news with bandaged arms. The children he had saved sent him drawings. He taped them to his wall and smiled despite the pain. In cities and villages around the world, 8 billion humans returned to their ordinary lives. They went to work. They raised their families. They argued with each other about things that did not matter. They loved and lost and hoped and dreamed. They were not special. They were not enhanced. They were simply human. And that, as the hegemony had learned, was more than enough. The stars were vast and full of dangers, but Earth was protected now, not by weapons or shields or technology. By reputation. The galaxy knew what humans were capable of. The galaxy knew what happened when you threatened their home. The galaxy knew that 8 billion stubborn, persistent, unbreakable people stood ready to fight. And the galaxy decided, quite wisely, to leave them alone. For now,